Hey there, welcome back to Ask Amy. This week, I have a question from Victoria. So, Victoria says, I have OCD where I have intrusive thoughts. So, I'm sure the dream I had, which she's going to tell us about in a minute, had something to do with my subconscious. I'm going to come back to that part in a second, Victoria. So, she says, I had a dream where I was in the mood, and my son was in the dream too. I remember in my dream I bumped into him and somehow and then felt weird, but then I woke up with an orgasm. I hope in the dream I was already in the mood before I bumped into him. This is bothering me so much, not knowing if, she says, if it was after, but meaning whether the feelings came on before, were there before her son showed up in the dream or after her son showed up in the dream. When I say bump into him, it was in my dream. He was on his own bed next to me. I know dreams are weird and people wake up with orgasms, but I feel like I was awake enough to know, and I wanted to continue the orgasm. Like I even tried despite feeling bad the whole time. How can this happen? I'm also wondering, she says, how this can happen in just 8 or 10 minutes. She gives the time. She says, I say this because my alarm went off at 8:30, I fell back asleep, and then I woke up again around 8:20. So how can this happen in 10 minutes or so? The other concern is that I'm not quite sure if I woke up with the orgasm or if I was in the mood before the dream started and it happened as soon as I woke up. Okay, so, and I know I have a little extra background on this from Victoria, and I know that this is something that has been bothering her for a really long time. This is not a new thing. I know this has been going on for, this was a while ago, over a year ago, I think, and it's weighed really heavily on her since. And understandably, and at the same time, I just I just wish so badly that I could help you see, Victoria, how meaningless all of this is. I'm not just being nice. I'm not just saying something that's designed to help you feel better. Truly, I would bet my life on this. Truly, the thoughts that show up for us while we're awake or while we're asleep, they just show up. They don't have all this hidden meaning. They really, really, really don't. They don't indicate what we truly care about. They don't show us some hidden thing that's lurking in our subconscious. There is so much heavy, old, outdated psychology that still lingers in popular culture, that still lingers in the back of all of our minds, like things about, oh, you could be in denial, or oh, this is lurking in your subconscious, or oh, your thoughts and dreams and how you describe an ink blot, mean something very deep and meaningful about you. And I know that for the average person who isn't, part of part of the changes in psychology isn't a big part of this conversation, that all still seems like the way that we work. It kind of seems like, oh, well, that's what psychology tells us, is there's all this hidden stuff there and things have a lot of meaning. And, I can tell you all day long that that's not true, but I wouldn't expect you or anyone to take my word for it, but I want you to just consider it. I want you to just be open to it and then see what deeply feels true and real for you. What if, Victoria, just what if, just like you can be sitting here right now in the middle of the day and have a random thought show up, the same happens whether you're awake or asleep. The same thing happens at night. That's all dreams are. And what if none of this means anything? Truly, just see if you can step into this what if. Don't believe me. Don't even try to believe me. Just try to step into a what if around it. What if it's meaningless? What if it is kind of random? What if the only reason that this has bothered you and weighed on you so heavily for over a year is because it goes against everything that feels true and real to you? That's what an intrusive thought is. That's why we call them intrusive, because they intrude on kind of what we feel is right and what makes sense to us. And people get very jarred by that when a thought comes in that feels so outside of kind of just what feels normal, what we're told is normal, what we think is the kind of thoughts I have, all of that stuff. When something comes in, and intrusive thoughts are always like that. They're always of, maybe not always, but most of the time they're of this jarring nature. They're either very immoral or sexual or religious or violent. It's the stuff that's like, oh, that's not me. I don't want that. That's not mine. That's why it feels intrusive, and that's why we call it intrusive. So, Victoria, what if that is the only thing that's happening? What if you went to bed one night and your mind and body were just doing whatever your mind and body were doing? Absolutely no problem. Totally normal stuff for a physical human being, like just totally normal stuff. And yes, some of the images and some of the stuff that happened in your dream, when you wake up and you think about it, very odd, very confusing, very unsettling even. But what if it means absolutely nothing? Absolutely nothing. You didn't put those thoughts there. The fact that they feel so unsettling to you that it's bothering you for this long shows that it is not anything that feels like Victoria. It's nothing meaningful. It's nothing personal about you. It's just something that showed up. So again, please don't try to believe me. Please, because your mind, and I'll tell you why. Your mind, if you try to believe me, your mind is just going to come up and argue it to death. It's going to say, yeah, but, and this, and why, and all of that. Just hold it as a what if. Take in this alternate explanation, alternate to the explanation your mind has been giving you for over a year, that says that doesn't mean anything. Thought and feeling just show up, even disturbing ones. They just show up. They don't mean anything about us. It means there's nothing lurking in your subconscious. It has nothing to do with you or your son or anything about either of you. None of these details you're asking about matter, whether you felt that way before he showed up in the dream, or none of that matters in the least. It's all just random thoughts. So it doesn't make sense to go into a fictional story and try to make sense of it. So none of that means anything. That's just your mind trying to get it to make some sense. You fell asleep, some crazy thoughts showed up, you felt them, done. And since then, the only thing that has bothered you, the only reason this has bothered you, is because somewhere along the line it's felt meaningful and important. Your mind has kind of said, whoa, what if this means something, right? That's where all this is coming from. What does this mean about me? But I really just want you to sit with, like, what if it means nothing about you? And just see where your common sense leads you. Know how you feel and what feels right and wrong to you and all. There's not a problem with any of that. There's not a question in any of that for you. I know there isn't. For most people, there's not. That's why this stuff feels so jarring and intrusive. So I hope this helps. Thank you so much for sending your question. I know it was not easy for you to send it. It's not easy for you to talk about, and I totally understand that. But I hope this is helpful to you, and I really hope it's helpful to others, no matter what's showing up in your dreams, in your waking life, any of it. What if it just doesn't mean anything? And see, the thing is, when we can hold it like that, if there's something for us to see in it, we'll see in it. We'll see that, if there's some bigger thing for us to wake up to in life, we're designed to wake up to that stuff. But when it's just spinning in your head and torturing you for over a year, that is not something you're designed to wake up to. Like, that's not showing you, oh, there's something in this for you. That's showing you that a machine is just churning it and spinning it around and adding all kinds of fictional story to it over the last year. That's exactly what that would look like, and that's what you're experiencing. So thank you so much, Victoria, for sending your question. Thanks, everyone, for listening. Send your questions to askamy@thelittleschoolofbigchange.com, and I'll be here every Monday speaking to them. Thanks, everyone. Have a great week.